Hey guys, as you can see, I am not here today, but I just wanted to touch base with you, make sure everything's going well. I'm doing fine. My son got COVID, so he's feeling a bit under the weather, and due to my proximity to him, and got a bit of a headache and stuff, so a few minor symptoms. I'm just staying home today while I wait the results of my test. Make sure you guys stay safe and healthy. So, what I'd like you to do today, I'm not sure who's subbing, but whoever is, thank you, by the way. Make sure you listen to them, guys. Make sure you get some good work done. If you have something, first priority for you is you have something missing for me, um, a test or something like that. If it's an online one on Classroom, you can go ahead and do it. Um, just let the sub know you're doing that. If you need some help with it, you can get help from one of your neighbors. They can kind of go over things with you before you take it. I did pull in a few of you guys into enrichment either today or tomorrow to do test retakes and that sort of thing. So if you are pulled in with me, if they have somebody in there for retakes, you can do them or tests or help. Go ahead. If they don't have somebody in there for me, go where they send you and work on something you need to do. Now, assuming that stuff is good or you aren't able to work on that right now, for our last unit of the year, this whole semester's been on chemistry, right? So this last unit of the year, what I would like to do is open it up and let you guys explore whatever areas of chemistry you're most interested in. Um, so this last unit, as you can see here on the screen, I'm calling it Unit 6 Chemistry Capstone. Um, if you click on the plan, so you guys can log into Classroom if you haven't already done that, or you can do it when I'm done. But if you log into plan, Capstone Chemistry, Unit 6 Capstone Plan, I'll go to that. Today, I was going to do some review of chemistry concepts with you. I'll hopefully be there on Thursday and I can do that with you in person. But I just wanted to review some of the concepts we've talked about this year, things like kinetic energy, conservation of mass. Um, why can't I think of anything right now? Atoms and elements and the periodic table, scientific method stuff. We've covered a lot of stuff, and I just wanted to go over that with you a little bit, introduce the project, and then get you guys starting to research for that capstone or reviewing for retakes, like I said. And then I've scheduled for the remaining few days of the semester working on this capstone project and then eventually presenting it to me either individually or in front of the whole class. It's up to you. Your results, your what happened, what you learned from it, those types of things. What's this going to entail then? Let's go and take a look at it. Go to the project assignment, capstone project. Um, so first off, this is the final project for the semester. It will count as a test grade. It won't be equivalent to two regular test grades in the grade book. So it's a bigger project and grade than we've done for a while, more equivalent to the scientific method project we did at the beginning of the year. The why of it. As we wrap up the chemistry semester, I would like to give you the opportunity to research and or perform some chemistry experiments of your choosing to learn and demonstrate various chemistry topics to me and or your fellow classmates. You must be able to explain the chemistry and science behind your demonstration experiment. You can't just throw two chemicals together, watch it happen, and say you're done. You actually got to know what's going on and why it's working the way it's working. Okay. And hopefully I'll be there to help you out with that. The what. Um, what are you going to look at? You may go back and expand upon something we have already covered. The units we've done so far, we've done a unit on scientific method. So asking a question, developing a hypothesis of what you think is going to happen and or why, designing an experiment, running the experiment, gathering the data, all that kind of stuff we did. You can do that, okay, but on something chemistry related. We looked at density and buoyancy, okay, things floating and sinking and that sort of stuff. We looked at kinetic theory, um, motion of at the molecular level, solid liquids, gases, that kind of thing. That's the one where Chase made caramel back in lab. You remember that day as an example of a chemical change? Excuse me. We looked at the properties of matter. So those kind of things, mixtures, compounds, that sort of things. And we looked at the atom, what makes it up, what are the subatomic particles, and how they interact. Okay, so you can go back and go deeper into one of those areas, or you can take one of those areas and combine it with something new or do something completely new. So you may explore areas of chemistry that we have not yet been able to investigate, such as, but not limited to, things like various types of chemical reactions, combustion, oxidation, color change, expansions. Tons of stuff we can do there. Material science, like how different materials respond and which is better for different applications. So if you're into the 3D printing and making stuff, you could um, you could design an experiment to test the 3D printed materials versus something more traditional, like something made out of wood or paper and glue or things of that nature. Um, you could look into nuclear fusion or fission. Can't do an experiment with it, but you can look into it. You can explore conservation of mass. You can go into biochemistry. Lots of different things you can do. Okay. Um, use your imagination, and I've got some resources that might point you in some directions too. I'll show you a little bit later. The how are you going to do this? There are many different ways for you to complete this project. One, if it's something like nuclear fission or fusion, or something else that we really can't do in class because it's too dangerous, like especially here at this point in time, in doing it individually, things like nuclear fission or building rocket motors. Um, Dylan, I know you were interested in doing that. That's something we wouldn't be able to put together right now, but you could research that right now. What's involved, what's the chemistry that's happening, what would you need, how would you put it together, how could we do this later in the year, because hopefully we'll build some rockets in the spring when we get outside. We can 3D print them, we can look at the physics, we can look at the chemistry of building the motor. So if you want to research that, go for it, and then we can use you as a resource when we get to that part of the year. Or you could do a larger scientific method experiment like we did at the beginning of the year, but focused on a chemistry related topic, like which hand sanitizer works better, or which type of X does a better job at Y. So cleaning substances, or I don't know, just testing two different things, or whatever. Lots of opportunities there for you. Or if you don't want to take on something bigger like one of those two, you could do a series of smaller predetermined experiments, all focused on helping you gain a better understanding of a particular chemistry topic. Um, you can kind of think of it like you get to decide what labs you do for class instead of me telling you what to do and telling you what I want you to turn in as far as a lab report, answering questions or whatever at the end. You get to find the labs. You get to figure out what you want to do. You get to figure out what information you're going to give me afterwards. There's a lot of resources out there, things that I look at, or like homeschool students will look at as well. They have tons of different chemistry experiment type ideas. Okay, now you will need to summarize what you learned or what was demonstrated by each lab, either verbally or written, depending on what we decide, the two of us or the three of us, if we're doing it with a partner. But there's things like elephant toothpaste and color changing experiments, all sorts of stuff you can do. So that'd be a series of smaller ones. So if you're a little intimidated by a bigger project, you could pick a bunch of small ones that kind of work around a theme, and you're learning these different smaller bits of information, and trying these different things out. Any labs or experiments you do must be researched, well planned, and deemed safe by me before you start. You must have clear procedures and know all the safety measures that you need to keep in mind. So you can't just go for it and start mixing chemicals together, guys. You need to know what you're doing, and I need to know that you know what you're doing. Okay, and approve it. And I got to make sure we got the materials as well. So for anything like that, we will have a discussion. All right. The self. So before you start this, and this is what I really want you to do today, guys. I don't want you just to jump right in and just go, I'm doing this, bang. Okay. Take some time. Take your time, look around on the internet, use your phones, use your Chromebooks, whatever you got, and think about what's the best fit for you. Okay. Is it going to be a research paper because you're really interested in the rocket motors? Or is it going to be a scientific method experiment because you really want to kind of just do it all on your own and answer a question you've had about something? Okay. Like, is it better to use a sponge or a wash rag when you're washing your dishes, and which soap is better or something? I don't know. Um, so so you got to find something that you are interested in. That's the biggest thing. Are you interested in this? If you are, it'll be a lot more fun and you'll stick with it. If it's just, I don't care, whatever, I'll just do this because it's easy, you're not going to get as much out of it and you're going to have a harder time doing a good job on it. Find something you feel comfortable doing. So don't bite off more than you can chew. On the other hand, don't make it too easy where you're going to get bored, but find something that you feel comfortable doing. If you like researching stuff and compiling that, do the research thing. If you like being more creative and coming up with your own ideas, do the scientific method thing. If you want to explore lots of little things and do lots of little experiments, do that. What are you comfortable with? If you find something you feel confident about getting done before the end of the semester, okay, don't bite off something that's going to take you 5 weeks. Okay, we can always expand the project a little later if you got extra time, but make sure it's something doable. And other thing I would say is only work with a partner if you both agree up front how you're going to share the work and how you can both stick to that agreement. And I would like that written down and shared with me when you do that. Okay. So there's no question about, oh, I want to do this. Do you want to work with me, Bob? Sure, I'll work with you. And then Bob does nothing and sits there on their phone the whole time while you're doing all this work and Bob's expecting you to get credit for it. That's not going to happen. So we will have a conversation, hopefully in person on Thursday. And we will first off agree on your basic project idea. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We can make that happen. We can discuss how it can be carried out. So kind of your procedure for getting started, what materials we might need to get, those kind of things. And we'll come up with an individual timeline for your project, like when should you have this part done, when should you have that part done, etc. And then we'll also figure out how you think it would be good to grade this. What kind of rubric are we going to use to say, yes, you did a good job, you deserve an A, or if I only do this much, I really should only get a C, that kind of thing. So, like I said, this is your project. You get to decide what you want to do. You can decide how you do it. You get to decide how you're graded on it. We have to agree, but it is still your project. Okay? That is the deal here, guys. Now, if we go back here, I do have some capstone project starting points, just a bunch of websites that have different chemistry demos, 40 best chemistry experiments, 102 awesome chemistry experiments, things like that. This is more for if you're doing smaller experiments. If you're more into a research paper or, doesn't have to be like perfect English citing of references or any of that kind of stuff. Just you're going to do some research, you're going to tell me where you looked, and you're going to synthesize that information and kind of write it out, or you could do it verbally or something like that, or in a PowerPoint. Doesn't have to be a typed up paper. It could be something different. If it's something like that, you just come up with your idea and you start looking around. If you're doing the scientific experiment, you'll probably have to do a little bit of research, but you're also working on your experimental design and things like that. But these materials here might help you get started. Okay. It may seem like a bit much for you guys at this point, especially with me not there today, but I have confidence that you can do this. First thing is just to kind of sit down and think for a little bit. Do you want to do more research? Do you want to make your own experiment? Or do you want to do a bunch of little ones that are kind of on a theme in chemistry? Remember, this is all chemistry focused, not just science focused, but chemistry focused. Think about it. Start looking around the internet, see if you can find some stuff that looks interesting, and then go from there. Your goal today is to, one, see if you've got any makeup work you got to get into me. Check online and see if you got any missing things that you can do. Okay. And get those done. Two, decide if you want to work with a partner or by yourself. I don't want groups of 3 or 4 on this. It's a partner or by yourself. And make that agreement with your partner and then share that with me. Write it down and share a picture of it or whatever. 3, start exploring, figuring out what you want to do. So on Thursday, when I come back with you guys, we can sit down and talk with every single individual or group about what do you think you want to do, how you're going to do it, how long it's going to take, what's going to be what's going to be the criteria for grading it. You don't have to have it all completely perfectly fleshed out. We can work on that together on Thursday. But I want you to have a pretty solid idea of what you want and how you're going to get there. Okay? Write some stuff down for yourself. so you can share it with me on Thursday. If you get that and you can show the sub that you've got some good ideas, you've got things written down, like what type of project, what are some of the details of it, where are you looking for, and you're working on finding that stuff and putting it together. If you get to a point where you can't move any farther without talking to me, you can work on something for another class. Um, but you need to make sure that the sub agrees with you that you have done what you needed to do today so that you're ready to talk to me on Thursday. All right, guys, if you have any questions, either ask me on Thursday or write me an email and I'll get back to you with it. Have a good one. We'll see you Thursday.